All right. Hello and good morning. Welcome to day two of our IPDP Overview training. My name is Amanda. I'm going to be getting us started with everything today. Um, this is day two, but just in case anyone is chiming in today, I still have some notes at the beginning here. We're going to be talking about IPDP, which is our individual professional development plan software. This software can be used to track plan and activity information for renewal of professional certifications. This allows the LPDC committee members to approve credits, view employee plan information. And what we're going to be kicking off with this morning is looking at this from a staff perspective. If I am somebody at the district that needs to enter a plan and submit that to my committee for approval, how would I enter my plan? And then as I do activities, how would I enter those? That'll be sort of our kickoff point this morning. I have a couple things to show first, though. So let me see. Oh, I wanted to mention we are recording the session. So this whole thing will be recorded. We do put these on YouTube. We will be splitting it up by chapters. So it'll be time stamped. So as we go through the session, I know we're covering a lot. That helps so that you can go through and jump around if needed. Yesterday, we covered the district manager perspective. So let me show you one thing we're working on here. This is our main page, our SSDT wiki. And if you come down to the meetings and training section, we have let's see, it's under training materials here. We have our application overview, training and materials. And so this is where when we do overview sessions like this one, this is where afterwards we'll follow up and we'll put anything pertaining to that training there. So there's one for the Ippy Dippy overview that we're working on. So this right now is in progress. If you go click this right now, you won't be able to access, but let me show you like our ESS one so you can see what this would look like. We'll update anything relevant here, primarily like your recorded trainings. We have the full day trainings that are listed out, that will be listed. And then down below, what we do is we'll go through and each of these links will link to the video, so to this video. But depending on what topic you want to see, it'll timestamp so that it'll jump ahead in our video right now and take you to the part where I'm saying, okay, this is how you create a plan, or this is how you create an activity, that sort of thing. So we'll have this day one, day two broken down in the near future. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be off of this launching page. Um, as far as questions, if you have questions throughout the day, please feel free to put them in the chat. Totally okay with me if you want to unmute and ask a question as well. Um, and let's see. Okay. All right. So, um, to get started here, we will be jumping into the software, but let me go back to our Ippy Dippy documentation real quick and get us sort of in the right spot for where we're going to kick off today. This is how you get to our user manual. And once we're in the user manual, we have in the appendix. There are user procedures. We looked at these yesterday when we did the district manager portion. We have the district manager set up. But for the standard user that we're talking about today, we have this page. And so what we've kind of done is this is our user manual. All of the menu options are documented in each of these different pages that you see on the left. And then, in addition to that, we sort of condense down the pieces that are relevant, like specifically for a certain type of user, into these appendix pages for the procedures. So this is sort of a distilled version to help out with having everything in one place for what's relevant to that type of user. So here we're going to see create a plan, submit a plan for approval, creating an activity, and each of these provides a step-by-step detail of, what those steps would be to accomplish each task. So we're going to look at this in the software, but I just wanted to refer to this, make sure that we note that this is here as well. Okay, so let's go get into our software here. So I did figure, for anybody that watched yesterday, we created a user yesterday, Cat. And so we can log in as Cat today. I wanted to note though, before we do this, we so when we were looking at a district admin view, we talked about how a district admin can create users. When I'm now like from the staff member perspective, I do also want to mention that there is an option to register a user. So alternatively, it is possible for me as a staff member, if I'm an employee of the district, I can enter a username. I would need to have my employee number. So I'm going to need to coordinate, with my with others at my district to know what that should be, and then my email address. If my district uses external authentication, the username does also, that is something I'll also have to coordinate. So this is an option, but I just wanted to mention this that there is, depending on how your district may want to set up their users, this could be something where the first time a user may need to register themselves. But if the user is already created in the software, like yesterday we created a user, so we're going to go in as Cat. And when I log in here now, Cat is just a standard user access. So my menu on the side here is pretty simple. I just have my activities, my plans, my professional certifications, and then I have help. I can get to the documentation from here, so I just wanted to point that out. What I'm seeing on my main page now, I haven't entered anything as Cat yet. So what I normally would see is my active plan summary information in this box right here. Once we get something entered, we'll see that there. And then I have a window here where it would show me any activities that I've entered or any certifications that are linking to my user. But at this point, we're starting fresh, so this is what I would expect to see when I'm a brand new user. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is create a plan. We cannot create activities until we enter a plan and have it approved. So this is definitely our first step. When we create the plan, the first step is to choose a plan template. Now, plan templates are something that we talked about setting up yesterday. When I come into the plan templates, there may be, I may just have one option, or I could have a list like this. What these are, some of these could be a district, it could be accessible to anybody in the entire district. So, maybe this is my like this is just, everybody needs to use a certain template. Or a district could have it set up where maybe they have templates specific to a certain building or to a certain position type. So, maybe they have like a teacher plan template. And so, depending on how each district has their templates set up for the plans, then that's what you would see in this list. So, for our example, we are going to say that for our district, it has it broken up where I work in the elementary school, so I'm going to pick the elementary school template. And then once I pick the template, that will populate. This gives me the page of like, okay, now here's everything that I need to enter for my plan. The first thing we have is the plan name. So the plan name is what I'm going to see to refer to this plan. It's also going to be what submits like, it's what it's kind of like the title of my plan for my, committee and for my future reference as well. So this can be whatever you want, but I mean, unless maybe like the district has a certain preference. Um, but I have seen them where, maybe it has like the years in there, so it makes it easy to refer back to because right now this will be our only plan, but in the future we're going to be able to see our past plans as well. So we'll give it a name. We'll give it a name. So let's call it, we're Cat. So this is Cat's plan, and then we'll say it's from 2026 to 2028. Effective date is a field that could be added later by our district if they want. We don't have to enter anything there now. Approving supervisor, this is a field that's optional depending on the district setup. So some districts will have this field and some districts won't. It just depends on if that's configured to be something that's showing. But if this is a field that you have, this is going to connect to any supervisors for any positions that are held at the district. And if you had a supervisor that is set up through the software, then it would show in the drop down. You could choose a supervisor, and that'll be used after submitting for approval. The plan objective is basically what's the renewal term. So, if it's a 5-year renewal, or in this case, I think our date range, we said, okay, this is a 2-year renewal, and you can choose that objective. Next, we have our focus area. So what is your focus for this plan? And it says Rose because this is custom to our Rose plan template. So when you see the title of this field, this is something that may vary depending on which plan template is chosen. So this is something that, specifically like each district has specified. It might just say plan focus, but that is something that may vary. Um, but we can just say, this is my focus for the plan. I want to renew my license. If I have any additional comments here, I can enter, I have some more comments to enter, so I have a field to enter any additional notes that I would need to have on my plan. And then when I'm ready to move on from this page, I have these tabs along the top. So I can go click on the next section to go to our focus areas. Um, Again, this is an area that is customized, by your district. It depends on the plan template you choose. But this page, just for an example, will have some sort of setup where, you have selections. So it'll have different groups like this one, where it'll have a header that'll tell you, hey, here's an area. It'll have its custom description. And then each of the options that fall within that would be underneath. Now, these could be checkboxes or it could be like a select one. So these could vary as far as what you'd see, but based on what your district has set up, you could fill these out. Now, there is a possibility your district may not have this tab, or your plan template may not have this tab. So it does depend on, the setup as well, if this even shows here. So for entering our plan, we'll go ahead, let's check a couple, and we can move on to the goals. So for entering goals, right now I have no goals currently added, but I can click the add button to add one. I also can see right here that 0 of 2 required. So what that means is I have 2 goals that I'm required to fill out, and right now I have 0. So let's add a goal. Another thing that could vary is this list. So this might say goal one, two, three, or you may have specific goals that specific goal prompts rather that show, either as a question or a description. And in order to decide to answer that goal, to add that to my plan so I can answer, I would just pick one from the list and it'll go ahead and add to the box here so that I can enter something in. So I know I need at least two, so let's add a couple here. Let's add three. So we can add, we could add all four if we wanted. But we just have to at least add two. If I decided that I didn't want one of these on here, I can delete it back off, remove this goal. Okay. Um, and then we have to fill this out. So let's see. This is my And so I could go ahead and enter in my goals. You do have you do have some quite a few characters within here as well. So you can, enter in um your description. The only rule really is that your answers have to be unique between them. And if you hit a max, it'll stop typing. So yeah, so that's the way to enter that in there. Next tab is professional certifications. Now, I will say I'm in test data, so I don't have something that's going to show in my list, but we're going to talk through how this will work. We have applies to certificates. Now, so when you do this drop down, like I don't have anything in here, but I would click this and it'll give you a list. So any of your professional certifications will sync with the IPDP software and they'll show in that list. So when you get the list, you can select one or multiple of those, and then you can add them to this plan and they'll show in the grid. So when you add to the plan, you can add more than one. So, you would be able to add as many as you need if you have multiple active licenses. When we get to the next step of submitting activities, and then those are going to apply to certain, to like maybe a certain license, then the list that you have available for what you can choose on your activities is based on what you choose for your plan. So, you'd want to select any that apply basically at this step. And then we have attachments. So if there are any attachments that you need to add to your plan, you can upload files here. You can add multiple attachments. They would show in this list. And then they would be available to, to open from your plan. So let's go ahead and create this. Create is going to save up everything that we've entered so far. And now what we can do is view our plan. We can view all of the details that we just entered here. If I go back to my home page, I now have my active plan information that shows here. And let's go back. So now when I go, from the home page to my plans page, it's gonna show me my current plan by default. So I can see, the information here. It does add a field for total CEUs. So once I start entering activities, then it would add to this total so I can see that. But I also want to show that there's another tab here for all plans. So in this case, this is the first one that we've added. But as we go through the years, after we complete this one and we start a new one, if I ever need to look back on previous plans, I can still see it from this all plans grid. So that's good to know. Current plan, all plans that I can switch between. The current plan is included in my all plans, so I can still see this from here if I wanted to. It depends on, how far you get in the process, but if I really wanted to delete this plan at this point, it's not referenced anywhere else, so I could. If I needed to edit it, I can still edit it because I've just initiated status. I haven't submitted for approval or anything yet. So you can see here, many of these fields are still able to be changed. And then I do also have a button here for printing a plan. So this is something that will be available, now, but also in the future as, my plan goes on and I earn activities towards that. That'll give me a way to print, the current situation of my plan. All right, let's see what else we want to look at here. Oh, one thing I want to mention is even if we edit our plan, we can edit these fields. One thing you cannot edit is your plan template. So if the plan template was wrong, because all of these fields are based on the plan template. So if the plan template was wrong, that's where we would have to, scrap this plan and start over with a new one. All right. So the next step then, because we want to enter activities in the future, but we can't enter activities until our plan is approved. So at this point, we've created it, but we need to use this button down here to submit it for approval to our committee. So when I click submit for approval, I have a pop-up window here. Now, some districts choose to use pre-approvals. So if that's something that is an option for the plans, we don't have it showing here, but there may be two options, and so you would select which one based on the district processes. But for this example, we have submit for final approval. If I wanted to add any notes that would go with my plan, with my approval submission, I could enter something here, and then I would click submit. I have my emails off in this instance, which was the first one there, because normally when I would submit a plan for approval, this depending on how my district is set up, this may send a notification to the committee members or the supervisor or the chairperson. So that's an option that could be set up is like once I click submit for approval, that's sending off notifications so that my committee knows and then can go in and approve my review and approve my plan. I also have an approval trail here. And when I look at the approval trail, here, let me go back and see because I believe I should see. I'll have to check that. Sometimes when you're testing, things are different, but we can see that we initiated this. So this is where we created our plan. And I believe it'll have like a submitted for approval. Definitely when it's approved, that'll show on here. Maybe it'll add both at that point. I'll check on that. But what you would do with the approval trail is you can come in here and say, okay, this is when I initiated my plan. This is when I created my plan originally. And then this kind of tracks any activity. So, maybe, and it also shows where it shows any notes that are added. So, maybe I submitted this plan for approval, but if, say, my committee member wants me to change something, they might have returned it for modification. If my district is set up to do so, then could get an email then telling me that the plan was returned. But in that case, I would get the note there, but I also, if I want to refer back to it, can look at like any of the notes that have happened with the approvals on this tab of my plan. So that's where I can review that. And so for now, I'm set. So, oh wait, you know what? Submit for approval. Hang on. There it is. Okay. Okay, so this is what we would see is initiated, submitted for final approval. Sorry for that. But this is what we would see when we submit for approval. I should have put a note in there. Um, but if I did have the notes, that's where it would show. So, okay, we got the view. All right. And then also while we're in here, Let me also just show this, my professional certifications grid. I apologize that these are blank, but I just want to mention this page is also here. So this is where you could review any of the professional certifications that pull over attached to your credential information and would show in this grid. And then based on this grid, any currently active issued licenses are what's going to be available to select when you create your plan. So this is kind of just a landing page to view, hey, here's all of my certifications that are pulling in. And then, the each plan will just have the ones that are selected. How the plans work, you can only have one active plan at a time. That's why we have current plans. So, at this point, this is our plan we're going to run with. We're going to go enter activities on. But once we complete the plan, all of our activities are done and approved or, denied if we didn't need them, or canceled. Then on this view, when I would be ready to start a new plan, I would have an archive button in this bottom corner. And then I could archive this if I needed to create a new one. That would be the process. Okay. Any questions on entering a plan? So what we're gonna roll to next is we're sticking with the fact that we're cat, but one thing that needs to happen is that plan needs to be approved before I can um enter any activities. So I wanted to look at entering an activity. So what I did is I set us up with Cat 2, Cat Clone, and in this version, our plan has been approved. Hang on, let me make sure. Oh, I know what I did. In this version, let me close this out. Cat has an approved plan now. So let me go to my plans and so we can see if I look at like all plans, this is approved now. My approval trail, my plan was approved. So this is kind of just like continuing from where we left off with that prior plan entry. Okay, so when we're on the homepage, so then what we could do is come to my activities. And when I go to, so now that I have the plan in place, I want to start tracking my credits towards that renewal. And what I would do is come in here and click create. And this is going to give me a pop-up. Now, this pop-up very similar to the flow of entering a plan. We have basic info, and then we have some additional tabs that we'll navigate through as we enter our activity information. So, um, let's see. So what we can do here is let's enter our activity name and what do we want to do? Let's go to a conference. Conference ABC. And we'll go through, fill out the information here. So this is going to be, say, the start date of the conference. So let's enter the date, if it was a multiple date situation or if it was just for one day. Again, we have an approving supervisor field. So this is something that may or may not appear depending on if your district is set up to have approving supervisors. Um, But if so, then I could select a supervisor from the list and enter a description. We'll just enter in some information here. So, based on what the activity, what needs to be communicated and tracked about this activity in order for it to be, approved by your committee, or, if you want to look back at any details, you can use these description and focus fields. And then we switch over to progress. So progress is going to, this is where it's going to determine ultimately if this activity is approved, what is counted towards those CEUs that I have on my plan. First big important piece is our progress unit. So the progress unit does impact, basically what's going to end up adding to our total. So continuing education units, our CEUs, that is the metric that is used on the plan to like have as a total. Um, so if I did CEUs, I could have I can use the plus or I can type in here. I may have one CEU. How much is this activity counting, towards that total? Now, if the unit is in a different type, so you can select semester hours, quarter hours, or contact hours, there is a certain conversion um, for each of these types to what they equate to in CEUs. The system will do that for you when the activity is approved. It will calculate based on that conversion what to add to your plan. Um, but just be aware there is a difference. So, like if I choose CEUs for one credit and I choose contact hours, I think contact hours is like 1/10. So, it would translate differently as far as how much that's adding. So, honestly, whatever is appropriate, whatever is the correct amount can be selected. This makes it easier for you because you don't have to do the conversion of like, well, how much would semester hours add? But you just want to make sure that whatever this progress unit that you select is correct to the progress value that you're adding. So, for this, let's just say some I don't know, let's go with CEUs and we'll just add one. So we know that this conference is giving me one CEU, so I'm going to enter it that way. And then if there's a certain vendor, um, we could enter that information. That's the vendor of the activity. Um, and then we have a verification method. So verification method, these could vary based on your district setup. So this, it's kind of just an example here as far as what may be accepted to verify that you did this activity. So let's say we're going to bring an agenda because we're going to a conference. And if we have any comments, we could enter them here related to, any of this information. Our next step is option groups. So again, something that is custom per your district. So these will vary. I have some examples in here. The basic idea though is these are going to be different groups. Um, that help, you can expand them or we could collapse them like this if there are certain ones that help give a little bit more detail to organize like, hey, what kind of activity, where does this fall? Usually that sort of thing is what the option groups would be set up to define. In this case, let's say we're going to a conference. So let's open this one back up. And we could select multiple options here. So, okay, this was an in-person conference and it was just a single session that I went to. Um, I could select different options here. Some of these, if you see one like this where these are circle buttons, I could just select one. I can't select multiple. Or there is an option where you may see like a box to fill out sort of thing. There's like a custom option. So yeah, you would just go through and fill these out based on um, whatever your district has set up here to be filled out for these option groups. Next, we have our professional certifications. This page works exactly how we talked about with the plans. So you would have the applies to certificate. You would use this drop down to select from the different professional certifications. Now, in this case, it won't show every single license that you have that's issued unless it's on the plan. So this would be a list of anything that is listed out there that is on the plan to be able to select and add to this grid. And then how that's going to result is Any approved activities count towards the total CEUs on your plan, but on that plan, there's a plan report that we looked at that is actually going to categorize them and show the credits that count towards each license. So each certification. So this is helpful to make sure that at this step you would select the correct certification to apply that this activity would apply to. And then we have attachments, so you can click to upload files. Multiple files can be uploaded, um, and uh, and add an attachment. Maybe that this is where I'm going to add the agenda, or this is where I'm going to add, my certificate of attendance, that sort of thing. So let me create this. And this will save it up. Now, I can still edit this right now because it's just initiated. I just created it. I haven't submitted it for approval yet. So I can edit with the activities. Once I submit it for approval, there is going to be a lot, it's going to be a lockdown on what I can edit on this activity. Because once I submit this for approval and say, hey, I'm doing this activity, then my committee's signing off on it. I can always go back still and add attachments. That is the exception here. So, once I'm going to send it off, if there's anything that I want in the description, I should do that now. But if I need to add an attachment later, I can still, I know that I can still do that. So here's edit, and then, what else did I want to look at here? Let's go ahead and submit for approval. Now, for this one, we have a couple options. So when I go to submit for approval, I could submit this for pre-approval or for final approval. Pre-approval, this depends if my district has it turned on. So, you may just see submitted for final approval, and not have this option. But if this is something that's used and I submit for pre-approval, then maybe the situation is I'm submitting for pre-approval to say like, hey, I'd like to go to this conference, and then this is going to get approved by my committee ahead of time so that I know it'll count. And then after I go to the conference, I would still have the activity in here and I can come back in, add any other notes that I need to, add my attachment if I have it, and then I can submit it for final approval after that. Um, so let's see. Yeah, let's just go ahead and submit that for pre-approval. And so now you can see on my activity grid, I've got one in here that's still initiated. I've got one in here that's submitted for pre-approval. I sort of entered this one previously and I haven't submitted it for approval yet. So let's submit this one for approval as well, and we'll submit it for final approval. Okay. And I can see that I have submitted for final approval as an option, or as like the approval status on my grid. Now, as you go, I mean, we're a brand new user here that, we just started our plan. We've only entered a couple activities, but over time, you're going to have a list of activities that'll show in here. So you do have options on this grid to review things. You can filter by the start and stop date. So if I wanted to um, filter, if I wanted to look for anything that started between, and I made these have the same date, so I apologize. But let's say I want something that started between March 29th and uh May 1st, because I know that I had an activity, if I'm looking back, in the future, and I want to say, okay, let me find something that started between those dates. Okay, April 1st. If I want to see something that, see if I have something that started at the end of March, then I have nothing matching that. So I that's where you could enter ranges, We have our start date, we have our end date. For approval statuses, I have a whole bunch of options where, right now I've submitted for pre-approval and final approval. But once I get more activities, if I wanted to just maybe see which ones I had approved, or if I just want to filter this to only see the ones that I've created but not submitted for approval yet, any that are returned for modification, I could come in here and check these boxes to filter this to just show like a certain status. Um, that said, your initiated, like the activities that you've created but have not submitted yet, will always filter to the top. So they'll be easy to see, which is nice. Um, so that's our activity grid. Um, And then if we go back to the home page here, now our activities. So this box is recent activities. This is always going to show the recent things that we've entered, and we get a little summary. We can, expand any of these that we want with, okay, here's the plan it applies to, here's the activity, and here's the status. So right upon login, I can see, hey, did those activities I submitted, did those get approved yet? And that'll show here. All right. The other thing I was going to show here, so depending on the district setup, you may get emails when the status is, either returned or approved for um, either your plan or activities. But there is also a notifications bell up top. So when you log in, there's an area here, and I had marked it as red before, but we got our plan approved previously, so the notifications would look something like this. So you can click on this bell, and it'll show, if there's anything on red, and it'll show a history of any notifications related to, your records that you may need to know about. So that is helpful. And yeah, I think I mentioned it before, but the last thing I wanted to mention was so help documentation is here. This has a link directly to our user manual. So that's how you can get to this IPDP user manual landing page. And just to show one more time for good measure is in the appendix under the user procedures. We have standard user plan and activity procedures. So this is what we went through. We created a plan, submitted it for approval, view and edit, create an activity. The last thing that we didn't see exactly because once my plan is approved, my activities are entered, all of my activities are approved. Once I'm in that situation, then I can archive my plan. So I mentioned when we looked at the plans, like where that option was. Um, when you're looking at your current plan, but here are some steps as well. So, once it's time to archive the plan, it's actually a really easy process. You just click the archive button and click OK. Um, but it won't show up unless your plan is in the right spot to do so. And then once you archive your plan, then you start right over from the create plan option. Sorry, I should do it like this. Start right over from the create plan option and create your next one. So, okay. Well, that is what I have for our staff section with talking about what this looks like for a standard user. And what we're going to switch to next is the committee member view. So committee member section, and I am going to hand it over to Mary for that part. So thank you all.
Good morning, everyone. We will go ahead and get started.
Let me stop sharing
Oh,
here.
yep.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I was
Okay,
clicking the button, but it wasn't going through.
wasn't
All right.
working, right? Okay, I'm going to talk about the committee member and what they see on their screens when they log in. Um, this is Rocky. He's a committee member, and he is I'm going to be seeing everything up here for his plan if he was to have one. Then on, I hope I'm sharing, I'm not seeing my shared screen. Um, Amanda, do you see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, thanks. Um, so they will also see down in this lower part everything for the district. So I can see activity approvals. And for those approvals, I can see the committee pre-approvals or the final approvals, and that's all related to the activity area. If I click on plan approvals over on the right, I can see the pre-approvals here. So that's what's showing up on this grid right now. And then I can also see the committee final approvals. So they do have to kind of manipulate this if they are able, and if it's configured to show the pre-approvals and final approvals. I'm sorry, for the pre-approvals, they have an option to either have those or not have those. So we'll go back here. They also can, if I click on one of these approvals, I have the option to approve, return, or deny the activity from this screen. I can also, um, I don't know why you would do this, but you can do multiples at the same time as well. Um, and the same for the plan. And so for this one, I have plans and the final approvals for the plans. So I can do the same thing. If I look at Ricky's plan, I can approve, return, or deny it. I can also, on any of these screens, view the plan. So within that plan, I'll see the same tabs that Amanda just showed you. The basic information, the focus, goals, professional certifications attached to it, any attachments, and then their approval trail. And at that point, I can either approve, return, or deny from this screen as well. So that is what their home screen looks like. I'm going to go ahead and move on to activities. Now, the committee member can see their own activities. And that would be by themselves, and they can create an activity from the screen as well, just like the one Amanda showed earlier. And then we have district activities, so they'd be able to see all the activities in the district in any status. So again, this is where there would be a whole lot to see. And if they want to restrict, they can restrict by the dates, as Amanda showed, or you can do the status. So I could just look for initiated if I'd like. So that's all my initiated activities. I can also include or exclude certain columns from here, and I do that under the menu button. Maybe I want to show activity credits on here, and this is based on preference. So user preference would hold between sessions. So if I want to have that activity start date on there, I would put it on and it would stay on for all the time. I can also export the grid into a .csv, and it will base it on what is filtered. So I can export everything or just a certain approval status that I want to look at. When that is done, it's put into activity export CSV. And if you go take a look at that, it will have certain fields on it. And you can expand those like just like an Excel sheet. So this is the activity ID and the plan ID. Those show on this export, and then all these fields as well. Okay, I'm going to take this filter off here. And that's, let me make sure I told you everything I wanted to tell you on the activity grid. And that is it. So that's it for activities. If there's any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. Okay, I'm going to move on to plans. So I'll go ahead and expand my plans area. And the screen is similar. These are all this is my current plan. And I could also see all my plans if I'd like. So it's just like this section here is just like the user if I was just doing it for myself. But as a committee member, I also can see all the district plans. So if I click on district plans, I have the same type of grid. I can filter for a certain status or dates. If I want to look at if I know the plan name, I can put that in there. But if I want to look at someone's plan, I can put in their name here. And I would be able to pull up their particular plan. And again, I can list anything I want on here. If I want to show submitted and approved dates as well, I can click those on and off. I can take these off if I don't want them. And that's what I would have on my grid, and it would persist to the next time I get in the screen. I could also export this grid if I want to, and the export file name is planexport.csv. And again, I can manipulate that if I need to, or sort it and send it off to whoever needs that particular Excel sheet. And let's see, I'm gonna make sure I tell you everything I want to tell you on that. And okay, the next item would be the users without an approved plan. Now, this is a really nice grid because you can see who is required to have a plan but doesn't have a plan yet. That is something that is configured under the user. On the district manager or the admin would have to click the checkbox to make sure that they are set up to require that plan. So if they're not required to have a plan, if you have someone in your district who's not required to have a plan, but you still want them in this IPDP system, then you don't check that checkbox on the user screen. And Amanda went over that yesterday. I will show you that. Let me just go ahead and go to the admin page so you can take a look at that. So if I go to system and then users, and I take a look at Josh here, I could see on this user screen that the plan is required for him. It's been checked, so he is required to have a plan. So if I don't have a plan for Josh, he will show up on that report or that grid. Okay, I'll log back in as Rocky. And these are the users who do not have a plan. So I can, from this screen, actually email the person and say, you don't have a plan. Can you please submit one? So I would say yes there. And I'm sorry, LastPass is getting in my way. Can't click off of them, but it will say that it's sent the email. Let me try that again so you can see the confirmation. So it says operation successful, and it sends an email to them saying that they need to submit a plan. And if someone has a plan that is returned to them for modification, and you click on there to say, send me the plan because they forgot to make changes or didn't realize that you had sent it back to them, it will tell them that their plan was returned for modification and to please send it in. Any questions on that? Okay. If I wanted to send emails to all the people that are listed on this, I can click here and it will check everyone. And then I would click on send emails and it would send it to all the people that are listed on that screen. And whatever status they're in is how the email would be reflected. And I'll show you examples of those at the end here. Mm. The next screen that we're going to take a look at is the professional certifications. Again, the committee member can look at their own, which would be just like the user, and then the district professional certification. On this screen, you will see everyone in the district who has certifications. They can also be filtered and exported. Their export file name for this grid is professional cert export. And it will also follow whatever filter you have on the grid. So if you filter for just issued or a particular employee, then that's all that will come out on that Excel sheet. And we also have different items that you can include or exclude on the grid. Now, the sync part of this, this is synced with the ODE's certification table. And how this works is that at 3 a.m. every Tuesday, the certifications come over from the ODE. They are synced into a, it's called like a centralized license storage repository within our system. Then from there, it gets dispersed out based on your employees. So your employees would connect to this system, this centralized license system, and it is updated every Tuesday as well at 4 o'clock in the morning. So if something happens, you get a new employee and you want to get them going, you would have to add them in to the user file. And then you want to sync their professional certifications because something happened and they, or they're new and they just came in before, the Tuesday sync happens, then you can go ahead and run the sync professional certifications. If it's synced, you can see here when it was synced this morning with this screen was synced this morning with our centralized database. So that's how that works. If they have something from the ODE that hasn't been added to the ODE file yet, it will not show. So they have to wait until it shows up in the ODE file before we can see it on our end. And if there's any questions on that, you can go ahead and put those in the chat as well. I'm going to go ahead and move to the approvals. These are the two grids that would probably be used the most, I would think, for the committee members. So they can come in here and they can do all the committee pre-approvals from this screen. And also the second tab here is the final approvals. So these would be the activities that need final approval. They can go ahead and view from here as well and either deny, return, or approve. They can see an approval trail for what's happened with this particular activity from beginning to end. And if they need to after it's approved, they can add an attachment from this screen. So I'll show you that in a minute here. The plan approvals, the same thing. I can click on all of them and approve them all, or return them or deny them, or I can do the individual item. And I will go ahead and just approve this pre-approval one so you can see it on the final approval. So that one's been approved. It was a pre-approval. It's been approved, and now the employee can do whatever else they need to do for their final approval and submit it again for the final. If I go to final approvals, I see here that I have two that I need to approve. Josh's plan and Ricky's plan, so I can review that. And I can also approve from this screen. And then he's removed from that screen. They can also on this screen get the about information and the documentation. Now I said I was going to show you, so I'm going to go back to my plan screen. And district plans, and I'm just going to pick Kim's plan here. I can edit her plan even though it's approved and add an attachment for her if I need to in case they can't do it. So I can upload a file or I can drop the file here and save it. I can also look at their trail to show when I approved it. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and show you, I'm going to move my one screen over here. The emails that go out to the committee member. So this one is the plan was submitted for final approval, and it tells me that the plan was submitted by Josh. And this will be the information that comes in the email for that person. If I had sent an email or I've sent a plan and returned it, it will tell the user to update and resubmit their plan. And I think I told you, yeah, that was the from that screen where I had the plans without users without a plan, if I sent an email from that screen, this is what the email would look like to the user. So this one's been initiated on their part, but they have not clicked on the submit button. So it does tell them what they need to do in the email. So those are just a couple examples, and there's more for each one of the statuses that they're in. Are there any questions about the committee members' options on their screen? Okay, Amanda, I'm going to turn that back over to you.
Okay, I think that's it. I think that's all we have for the day, actually.
Awesome.
Here,
If
let
there's any,
me
yeah.
Here, I'll go ahead and let me share my screen just one more time. Wait just a minute.
And I'm sorry, I had the documentation up from which you have right there. So you have standard user plan, but there's also one for committee member procedures on that same screen.
Yep.
Yeah, so they can just go there and have everything they need for that.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, I figured just hop back on and show one more time. So this again was just from the IPDP manual in the appendix and the user procedures. So yeah, committee member procedures are here. And just to go back one more time, in case anybody is checking in or is, maybe watching the end of the recording. We also have in our meetings and trainings, right from our main page, we will have out here the overview and training manuals. There will be a page for the Ippy Dippy overview training and materials. So if that is something that you need to refer to or, refer any staff to as well, that's where we will break down the recording into different sections for each of these. So yeah, I think that covers it. Anything else you got, Mary?
No, that's it from me.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you all for joining for our Ippy Dippy overview sessions. We really appreciate you all attending and to anybody that's watching the recording. And yes, have a great weekend and we'll see you next time.